Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Marvel Rivals Ignite Stage 2 Qualifier. Today we are in the Americas. As you can probably hear, I'm a little bit sick, got the land flu, but we have Cast to do. We are in the quarter-finals today, the single elimination actual bracket phase, and we're jumping back on with DarkZero here, as they are against another former Ignite team in the form of AILANIWIND, as we are heading on in. Both these teams qualified for Ignite in the first stage. We are, of course, in best of fives now, as we are heading into Midtown to start us off. Reminder, we are back to the MRC banning system, meaning that picks and bans are universal. Neither team can now play Mantis, and neither team can currently play the Human Torch. Will we see Blade? We have yet to see him in any of these games so far, despite extremely wanting to. But we'll have to wait and see. We're going to be starting off with Wolverine and Phoenix, both being protected. It wasn't too long ago where these two were the go-to bans in basically every game for a bit. Especially with that Wolverine self-sustained with the lifesteal buff, but that's finally moving out of favor. Someone who's really moved into favor, Ultron, is seeing a lot of play from these teams. Reminder, we're on the new patch here, so we have also the Adam and Luna team up, the Adam buffs. Ultron, though, still being very effective. Damage output, really solid. Healing output, pretty reasonable. Ultron is just extremely strong in these triple strategist lineups, especially when you have something like a Phoenix. You got 2 hit scans there. You're going to be getting a lot of extra value. That imperative fireball, is going to be giving you a lot of extra protection. Punisher going to be seeing a little bit of a hover here. This is, of course, a little bit anti-flyer. While we do have Torch taken out, there is the potential for Storm, or even to try and ping away at the Iron Man. So with Ultron taken out, the Punisher allowed in. This is also a fairly reasonable counter to Groot. There, while the Mantis is taken away, Groot is still very strong in their own right. Hulk going to be banned away here. We're seeing that a little bit more these days, with Namor starting to creep up for all of these teams this season, and therefore the Hulk will be taken away to remove that Gamma Squid, and of course to put a little bit of pressure onto the frontliners, as we are seeing a little bit of Hulk these days. Not a lot, but a little bit. Excuse me, sorry. Luna. The final ban out here, still one of the best strategists, but Cloak and Dagger more than capable of filling in that gap, as is Loki. The Loki not being banned away is a little bit surprising to me, but this is likely due to the fact that both teams have the Phoenix at the ready, so they can play a little bit more passively and just ping away at those Loki clones, stack up those sparks with the Cosmic Flames, and we'll get a solid amount of DPS output. Let's introduce our teams on the left-hand side. Ladies and gentlemen, in the blue trunks, on the defensive center of Midtown, we have DarkZero with Smash playing the Rocket. I'm on the wrong layer. There we go. We have Madara playing the Doctor Strange. Skya, or Skya. I still have not received a pronunciation guide on this name. They are on the Cloak and Dagger. Impunity will be bringing out the Thing. Velocity is playing the Loki, and Fraud will be bringing out the Magneto. Whereas on the right-hand side, it is AILANIWIND with Enquiries playing the Loki. K-Jules is on the Cloak and Dagger. Enquiries again? I have questions. They are playing the AMER. Chenzo is bringing out the Phoenix there. Goma is going to try and bring out that Wolverine, which is very sensible, as they are against a 3-3. And we have Jalen Mans bringing out the Groot. A lot of pressure going to be on Goma in this match with 3 Vanguards. They're going to try and just isolate. They've already taken down Madara. They get Velocity. Madara returns at the BRB. So what we're seeing here is a triple Vanguard composition coming in from DarkZero, where they're just going to try and go for maximum sustain to hold at the first corner. It is being absolutely melted, though, as a great way to deal with a triple Vanguard, triple strategist composition is to separate them. Where does the value come from? The high hit point pool and the ability to keep them healed up with the triple healers. How do you deal with that? You isolate and you conquer. You pick up the Wolverine, you're able to pick people out of position, and then use Groot to separate them from their healers, meaning that they don't get that extra protection, so they're easier to pick off with the percentage damage. And then, of course, Chenzo is just able to stack so many Cosmic Flames up for absolutely ever. Meteor M not finding the target here. Portal comes back in as DarkZero. They're just trying to buy as much time as possible with this composition before they swap to something a little bit more standard with the maximum sustain. Ensong Inferno takes out Velocity as they're trying to hold that front line for the moment. Impunity looking up to the high ground, 78% of the way towards that Eye of Agamotto. Velocity was taken down, but will revive. Will be able to make their way back in on foot. Last stand from Goma. They are kept topped up. And it's one by one. Impunity will get isolated away from the strategists, and we're continuing to see Jalen pushing a little bit further forward to make sure that those duelists, those vanguards, aren't close enough to their own strategists to get that healing output here. And there we go. DarkZero, they're not going to get another long hold, and also they are getting isolated here. So they're beginning to adjust back more into their more standard composition, with Fraud swapping over to the Storm for the damage boost and a little bit of AoE just once they go for that Omega Hurricane and smash a Wolverine of their own. With the Groot in play, they need something that can really help deal with that, and the Wolverine is the pickup here. Going to get Necries though. Focus them down, but Velocity will be the first to fall. Massive stun from Impunity, but it's still AILANIWIND who are holding this beautifully right now, and DarkZero are melted once again. DarkZero holding dominant stead here, and it looks like Jalen going to be heading back to the spawn room. They're going to swap away from this Groot, believing it has done its job. They're going to swap over to the Magneto, seeing their opponents have swapped out, seeing that the Punisher has entered the fray. Punisher and Wolverine were, of course, very good counters against the Groot. Same player was playing both, but the Punisher is going to be a little more consistent. They can go from range here, so moving over to the Magneto is going to be much, much better. Now Smash, if they go in for that final judgment, they might get picked off with that Meteor M. Here comes that Omega Hurricane into the back line. Omega Hurricane is actually eating the Ensong Inferno. Fraud able to tank on through, but gets picked up by the Wolverine. Lovely isolation there by Goma. We'll get locked down with the Carbon Crush, but it's sustaining through with the help of that Eternal Bond to keep the team topped up. Necries with the Silent Seduction. Last stand in the doorway. Goma continuing to just pile on the momentum for the side of AILANIWIND as they continue to crush their way through this. Madara forced to back up and wait for the team to return, but they might actually get picked off alone as it's the dive from AILANIWIND through the doorway into the Fisk building. Looking for an opening. Silent Seduction pulls on in. That's enough for a finishing blow onto Goma. Madara is buying every second they can, but they will finally get picked off. Velocity with the Eternal Bond to buy every extra second. Ensong Inferno by Chenzo to try and get a quick blow, but the final judgment is just too much damage. And it does look like DarkZero may be able to hold this with the help of this upper Necries. Skier buys a couple extra seconds. And it looks like AILANIWIND break it once again. DarkZero finished off the point one more time. Already at 2 points with 3 minutes to go. DarkZero have that Omega Hurricane. They have Meteor M. AILANIWIND, they did use basically everything, but they're almost already charged on that Eternal Bond. They're almost already charged on the Psionic Seduction. So they have the tools they need for a quick blow-up if they need it. However, they have no defensive tools. The Eternal Bond might protect against the Omega Hurricane, but it could be seriously risky. Omega Hurricane is coming in as the Seduction was burned very quickly. K-Jules dropped their ultimate nice and early, but now, is the Omega Hurricane going to be enough to burst on through? Damage output is good, but it's not enough for any finishing blows. Velocity will actually finally get Goma. Jalen will fall as well, and it looks like it's going to be enough with the damage boost from the Storm for at least a zone, and DarkZero will finally force AILANIWIND back into the Fisk building. Both of these teams, as we've already mentioned, were qualified for Marvel Rivals Ignite. And more than that, they were in the same group. In the Americas, they unfortunately did not get the chance to play against each other, as both of them were knocked out in round 1 of that lower bracket. Here comes the clone from Velocity, moving on in with the Eternal Bond. Enquiries mirroring the exact same thing to try and buy the extra time. Terror came to absolutely damage boost, and DarkZero have been melted once again. Enquiries now in the backline, the flanking Loki to keep the pressure on. This is going to be AILANIWIND creating the opening. Fraud looking for an opportunity to try and pick someone here. Has that Omega Hurricane, but for now it's just keeping the damage boost onto Smash. But they're forced into this defensive position, waiting for their team to come back out. Omega Hurricane going to be burned. Immediately you'll see the bubble come outside of Seduction to try and prevent the defensive ultimates. But it's not enough. Fraud forced to back away early. And with that, it might come down to Impunity. If they can land this Meteor M onto the right target, they may be able to turn this around. And Smash comes in with that final judgment. Damage output melts through Jalen's as they try to push back. And once again, AILANIWIND is sent back into the Fisk building. Both of these teams desperately trying to create an opening. Try to just earn their way back in. Remember, it's a single elimination. There is a second qualifier with less teams, I believe, up for grabs. Less spots up for grabs. This is the first opportunity these teams will get to try and make their way into Marvel Rivals Ignite. Both these teams making it in stage 1, looking to re-earn their spot with some slight adaptations in terms of who is on the teams. DarkZero trying to create that opening. Silent Seduction comes out from Enquiries to create the space as AILANIWIND's time is ticking down. They're holding it onto the overtime. Meteor M from Impunity to try and take someone out. But instead they're going to get dropped low. Forced down. Last stand from Goma. Takes out Impunity. Looks for anyone else, but they've all been able to retreat into one single defensive position as Fraud going in for that Omega Hurricane to try and burst through one more time onto Enquiries with once again the Phoenix Ensong Inferno getting burst. The Omega Hurricane finds nothing. Trying to create the opening. Jalen, Meteor M blocked out. Another isolation from Goma, but Goma's dropped extremely low here. Final judgment, maybe the final play for DarkZero to try and hold this in this round number 1 of game number 1 as they finish off Goma, and DarkZero will repel. Held at 2 points. 148 meters. Just a few meters away from that end point. Let's talk about their runs previously. We mentioned that these two teams did not face each other. However, how did they actually do? We have a look at their early matchups. AILANIWIND lost 2-0 to Sentinels in the upper bracket round 1. DarkZero lost 2-0 to Nemesis. In the lower bracket, AILANIWIND lost 2-0 to Nightmare. DarkZero lost 2-0 to Techie XD. So now looking to earn their spot back. These two teams were both qualifiers from the qualifying stage previously as well, with AILANIWIND qualifying in point number 1. Sorry, in qualifier number, hang on, in qualifier number 1. No, sorry, that is qualifier number 2. I cannot read today. And I believe DarkZero were invited. Yes, that is correct. They were qualified via MRC positioning from being magnets previously.
4, 3, 2, 1.
There we go, MRC Season 1. But both teams were demoted, now have to re-earn their spot once again. Compositional-wise, Goma off of the Wolverine onto the thing. That is a massive pickup by Smash there. Utilizing the rocket jump pack for the combo to make sure that they can just pull them completely out of position. Pushing forward, melting Smash. doing the best they can to try and get onto the thing. Remember, they can't CC the thing. They can stun them, but they can't displace them, so they're limited. That's a massive pickup onto Chenzo, catching them out of position. While you can't displace the thing, you can stun them, but the percentage damage of Wolverine will do the job and will give you the positioning that you do need. Jalen going to be portaling back in for the reinforcement. AILANIWIND also went with a 3-and-3 composition to try and maximum sustain. The damage boost from Fraud has been trying to help the Wolverine get on through here. Mega Hurricane, it will take out the Cosmic Yard Amplifier. Eternal Bond, AILANIWIND trying to create an opening here. Jalen gets picked off, comes back at the BRB. Media M for Madara. Blocked out there. Not going to find the pickup. Velocity going in for the clone with the God of Mischief straggling Prison from Impunity. Skier trying to keep the team top. Dark Force teleport, clobbering time, not finding a lot of targets. Mostly Impunity gets picked off. Last stand for Smash, who pushes on in, and that will be enough to take out the defending members of AILANIWIND. A full team wipe as DarkZero begin pushing on towards point number 2. Nicely done. Smash is currently just waiting for that jump pack. Will get it. Make their way back into the rest of the team. Goma has moved off the thing. Back onto that Wolverine. And Chenzo off the rocket. Moving over to the Phoenix. Of course, Phoenix into Loki is extremely effective. Can also do pretty well into Groot. And so Inferno can really burst through those walls. A Mega Hurricane for Fraud. They're going to try and take this down. It's a big chunk of damage, but the sustain is good. Finally takes out Chenzo. Almost was able to get out of there without getting picked off, but Chenzo, the damage output was just too overwhelming. The green was not yet available with that regeneration domain. Groot is going to get isolated. Impunity in serious trouble, but they are able to get to the door. Straggling Prison to trap them. The bait is real. They try to turn it around, but the Dark Force teleport is going to keep the rest of the team topped up into the air with the jump back. Trapped on the ceiling, but it's enough as Velocity takes out Goma. The defenses are collapsing. Psionic Seduction literally burst on through it. Wolverine takes Jalem off the point, so the cart moves on. And that's going to be point number 2, grabbed by DarkZero with 4 minutes and 26 seconds. Making fantastic time. Impunity going to be pushing up. Goma has the last stand. Goma and Smash are really trading the effectiveness on this Wolverine. 12 final hits to 9 currently in favor of Smash. Who Smash is able to pick up yet another isolation onto Enquiries. What a pickup. There goes Goma. Sailing past, looking for anyone they can find out of position. Any pickups will be huge. Fraud just pinging away from a distance, trying to avoid Chenzo. Keep that damage output going. Allow Groot and Magneto to also really stack up their own damage numbers here. A little bit of a zap. Moving on in. Smash finds Jalen. Can't get them through the doorway, though, into the regeneration domain. They're forced to back away. Can't get the full burst damage as Fraud comes in with Omega Hurricane. Trying to find Phoenix, who is invading. Forced to retreat through the enemy team. Fraud's in serious trouble. Retreats into the Dagger Storm to get that bonus healing from their own Cloak and Dagger. Endsong Inferno. Big blow up to try and get the finishing blow. Goma. Last stand from Smash. It's a triple as they push on through straggling Prison, and it is AILANIWIND who have melted here. Finally, Enquiries is finished off, and that is the triple. DarkZero, a little bit of a struggle on the defense, but they turned that round beautifully with the isolations perfectly when they needed them. Huge shout out to Smash there, who really made that victory happen. Those Wolverine pickups is the reason Wolverine gets banned so often. They were a huge deciding factor in that game. Very nicely done. DarkZero 1-0 up in this best of 5 versus AILANIWIND. Looking at these statistics. 35 KOs for Fraud. 12 of which were final hits. Top final hits, though, does, in fact, go over to Smash. Doing massive work. Damage output. Fraud, again, 38k. That is 15k more. An entire skier more than Smash. Really stacking that DPS output. Goma did some massive work on their own Wolverine as well, but fell a little bit behind in terms of damage. Ended up with 20k, only 10 final hits. But again, the Wolverines were huge in terms of deciding factors here. Fraud really turned that game around and brought it back when they looked like they were struggling a bit. Least amount of times getting KO'd will be Skier, who only got taken out 4 times. 2 less than almost anyone in the game, except for Enquiries, who only went down 5 times. And you can see that with Enquiries able to get close to the top healing output. It is going to be Enquiries and K-Jules, both with 50k. K-Jules beating them out by about 70. Behind them, Skier with 49k. Velocity with 44. Top damage blocked. Very close. Almost a two-way tie, but it will be just Jalen Mads with 52,600 compared to Impunity's 52,500. An impressive first match between these two teams. I have to reply to an email very quickly, so that you will hear a quick jump in the music while I pause the recording. And back, a very intense first game, as I just said before I left, I'm pretty sure. So let's get us set up for map number 2, ladies and gentlemen. I am excited. This is already turning out to be pretty intense. We came down to a singular round there. And once again, I still have the bug where I just get sent back right to the home screen immediately afterwards. So I need to go back and get that game. There we go. Gotcha. All right. Let's head into map number 2 of our best of 5. Sorry about my hair, by the way. I'm a little dusty today, it seems, just in terms of having to get on and get this game done because I have to go out in a couple hours, so I had to get this one done a little bit quicker. We are heading to Birnin T'Challa for our second map in this best of 5 series. Let's head on in and see who is going to be able to take the lead as we see DarkZero and AILANIWIND waiting for that first ban once again. Universal bans here. And there it is. Both these teams saw each other's Wolverines and said, you know what? That was rough. We're going to take those out. And the Human Torch, still one of the best characters in the game. While this map, there's a couple places where the Torch won't get as much value. It is still one of the best damage dealers in the game, so therefore will get removed. Storm, though, protected. DarkZero really enjoyed that, and that makes a lot of sense. We are seeing them play quite well with it, and they're playing in a way that really benefits it. With the Wolverine, they were doing a lot of work. That damage boost is very effective. While the American Hurricane was not finding a lot of value in terms of pickups, it was almost always forcing a strategist ultimate, meaning that they lost a lot of the healing output. So picking up that Storm is going to give them that extra potential, and of course, lets them lead on the Punisher if they want to. Punisher plus Storm is fantastic for a little bit of burst, and there is always the potential for the Jeff Nado. If they want to be a little bit more creative, they can try and sneak on in and get a quick blow up that way. Cloak and Dagger will get taken out this time. That's a little bit more risky. So, of course, the Terror Cape into that Omega Hurricane could still be extremely effective, and it's a good strategist when you have flyers, because, of course, the healing is auto-targeted. The Dagger Storm, the healing bubble, can get you a lot of extra value against the Storm. So it's an interesting ban away here by AILANIWIND, especially with Mantis currently still hovering unprotected and unbanned. So we could see DarkZero potentially go in that direction for a damage boost onto onto that Storm to really stack together, and onto the Punisher as well. Stacking the damage boost could be extremely rough to deal with, but AILANIWIND could do the same thing. They could pick someone like a Mantis Ultron triple strategist composition with that Luna, and then capitalize with all those hit scans and damage boostings to get a massive pickup onto the Storm while she's in the air without her having a lot of turnaround potential. And there goes Loki. If you're dealing with that Punisher, you want to make sure that he gets blown up. You don't want that protection coming in from that regeneration domain. Magneto is the secondary protection here, but they are already protected. Nothing you can do about that. So yeah, Mantis left untouched in this ban phase. Will the teams take the bait? As you can see here, the hover by Chenzo, the Hulk and Namor also were left open. Let's say DarkZero just going to start with a very Season 2 draft here. Storm, Punisher, Groot, and then whichever of the two Vanguards you would like, AMER or Magneto. AILANIWIND, Chenzo is looking potentially at that Namor, but also we have the Hela as an option. This opens up the opportunity, if they want, for AILANIWIND to potentially play that Venom, a big dive character with the team up, allowing Chenzo to isolate people a little bit more effectively with that slowing Soul Drainer. But it looks like with Jaden swapping over to the Hulk, we will likely see Chenzo move over to the Namor. Maybe we're just being baited as they're back on the Strange. We will have to see. Goma going to be locking in the Winter Soldier here. Tainted Voltage can knock people out of the sky, very effective against the Storm. And there it is. There is that Venom that we were talking about earlier. So they are going to commit to this. So now Chenzo has the ability to get a quick isolation onto people with the slowing Soul Drainer from the team up. Portal from Enquiries. Both teams, in fact, portaling directly into each other's spawns. Forced to wrap around it. It's actually going to be AILANIWIND, who got trapped in their own spawn point by that portal. As both teams start to make their way to the point. Aggressive portals from both sides here. So Smash is who we need to keep an eye on here. With that team, with that damage boost coming in from the Storm, they are going to be incredibly rough to deal with. And of course that shotgun, the adjudication, going to be very effective at trying to deal with the Venom. Chenzo on the other side is who we need to keep a solid one-shot. If they can land that solid Soul Drainer or some of those headshots, then Hela was one of the best damage dealers in the game for Season 0 and Season 1 for a reason. The damage output can be insanely good for a good hit scan player. You can see that Soul Drainer currently slowing it down the Punisher. Not enough for a pickup. The symbiotic shenanigans. Trying to push. This is a good flank right now. Chenzo mostly uncontested. It's another Soul Drainer. But they don't have the best angle. They've got some really good shots, but they just can't seem to find the Punisher. Forced to try an Astral Flock. Out got interrupted out of it. But still holding the line for the moment. Impunity swapped over to the Venom of their own to try and turn this round and keep the pressure on. Final judgment for Smash. Marta already falling. Beautiful pickup as Jalen and Goma are able to get a massive wipe there. There's another reset. Not going to be able to find it because everyone is back in spawn. It's a full team wipe. AILANIWIND on the first fight there that lasted all that time have finally captured the point. Looking to even up the score. So Impunity on the Venom of their own to add a little bit of extra pressure. Try to get Chenzo out of position. Soul Drainer pulls the team in, slows them down. Goddess's Descent to back away. Here comes Fraud. Astral Flock to back on out. It's the strategist, and that barrier is nowhere near enough to stay on through. Fraud gets the double. That is huge. Chenzo going to be taken out. Nice Mind's Aegis to block the majority of that Goddess of Death as well. And that's going to be enough to chase down and force them off the point. DarkZero flip it at 37%.
Wind and thunder watches over this land.
Fraud hovering nearer to the point as Martyra plays a little bit further up. Martyra moved back to the defensive position. Skier is behind them, keeping everyone topped up. Those Guardian barriers. Make sure everyone is sustained. Jalen waiting for a little bit of healing of their own. on that Venom. Waiting for the chance to really engage. Getting targeted down. Frenzied Arrival gets the slow. But where's the follow-up as Jalen gets locked down and absolutely detonated? Invisible Boundary comes on out for DarkZero just in case Casuals matching on their own side from invisibility. What a pickup! Skier 100-0 takes out Genzo. Goma, Trooper's Fist, trying to get onto Impunity, looking for a counter pickup. They've got that Kraken impact, but they want to hold onto it. Everyone's a little bit too healthy, and they know Velocity has that Fate of both worlds if needed. Necrise takes out Fraud. That's going to be the first pickup of this fight. Final Judgment. They're going to wait this one out. As with the damage boost from the Luna, this is an absolute massacre coming in here. But everyone took cover. 72%. Necrise, the only one to fall for AILANIWIND. They're trying to make their way back in to regroup together. Impunity and Jalen both have that feast from the abyss, the opportunity to try and break this front line. Goma, Kraken impact could be what they need to turn this round. A Mega Hurricane. They'll be looking for the strategists. A lot of damage, Kraken impact, they're diving in. Goma finds a pickup, it's a 1-for-1 as Fraud's in the backline, but Goma is continuing to reset through this. One more pickup, if they can land it, but no matter, as sustains on through, they go down, but it's too late. The pickups have already come in, and it's starting to look like Soul Drainer to hold Impunity in place, focus down, and it's another flip on 99%. AILANIWIND are bringing it back. Heading up to the high ground. Trying to break the terrain a little bit here. So that if they're forced to ult inside this doorway, they want to make sure that this terrain is not blocking the line of sight. Forced to instead focus on the enemy though, as they will be arriving a little bit earlier than I'm sure that Chenzo would have liked. Going for a wraparound. Goddess of Death at the ready. If everyone's going to be in that choke point, this could be a big blow up, but it's very risky coming out here alone. But if they can get the one shot, alternative strategist, there's been spotted. Astral Flock having to get away. Genzo full retreat, Frenzied Arrival. That now Smash is the one who's in trouble. It's the 1v1, has to burn the Goddess of Death. Not the best angle. Damage output still coming in, trying to take out Madara, dropping them solo. Impunity. And Genzo will be able to heal up, back away. Soul Drainer so close. And once again, Smash gets out barely. Getting a Scourge Grenade into the Invisible Boundary. Using the zipline to try and avoid that Meteor Ram, and they will be able to do so as no one's going to get taken down. Impunity currently the only person out of this fight. Goma, Kraken impact, Final Judgment immediately covers being taken, but that's going to allow the swap. And immediately that overtime starts taking down. Kraken impact, reset one. AILANIWIND looking to try and turn this in their favor and take the first round of this second map. Incoming directly on the portal. Only find Strange though if they can get that pick up. Trooper's Fist, but they're taken out. Smash through the portal. Trying to buy the time as the point has flipped. Will they contest it? You can see the enemies. Portal about to expire. No one touches. And with that, point number one goes over to AILANIWIND. Warrior Falls will be our second point of interest. Will we be seeing any adjustments in terms of compositions? It looks like yes, Impunity. Looking to move off of that Venom of their own without a team up. They've decided this is a DarkZero classic. It is time to bring out the Namor. Jaden's doing a little bit too much damage in the backline, so a bit of defense. Maybe exactly what they need. Looking at the statistics so far, Goma, 10 final hits. But it is Jalen, 18 and 3 in terms of KOs to getting KO'd, is doing so much work in the backline. Top damage, only by a, is going to be 16k for Goma, as they are moving on to a solo duelist play. Chenzo sticking with that as Goma moves over to the Jeff. Ah, portal speed. I don't know if they'll be staying on this Jeff. Speed boost. They're staying on the Jeff. They're rolling out. Immediately, Jeff gets choke slammed, but is going to sustain on through this fight. Symbiotic shenanigans, bringing out the Rad Esports style for the maximum sustain. They've got the soul bond, they've got that symbiotic shenanigans healing from Jeff, and the sustain is good. Taking the Rad Esports style, and AILANIWIND are powering through this. Cosmic Cluster, you can see the cooldown reduction on their healing output. Part of the new Adam Warlock. Their Cosmic Magic gives them a lot of extra healing here. Avatar Lifestream, sorry. Cosmic Magic and Cosmic Cluster. Quantum Magic and Cosmic Cluster, my apologies, will give them cooldown reduction onto that Avatar Lifestream. Get them back in every time you land a headshot. Kraken. Damage output. Horde of Proteus. Jalen will take out Smash as they're sustaining on through this. Impunity is on the point right now. In the backline. Finds Necrise. K-Jules is down. And even gets Goma. Impunity's dropped low though. 72 HP. Guardian Barrier keeps them topped up. Jalen's dropping low. Necrise is dropping low. Chenzo sieges in a bit. Here comes the Karmic Revival. Immediately returning to the fight. Did not get Goma. But K-Jules decided this fight is not over. AILANIWIND, they're already on 61%. They have full control of this point right now. It's Jeff coming in. Only finds Venom. Will spit them out. Gets taken out immediately. But I'll see with the fate of both worlds. And even with the res, it looks like AILANIWIND will be forced off the point. DarkZero able to repel the overwhelming healing output. They're able to find their way onto the point, but losing 73%. Goma swapped over to the Winter Soldier. Smash on the Winter Soldier of their own as they do not have that damage boost for the Punisher. Soldier is more their speed, a little bit of bionic hook, Trooper's Fist to try and lock down that Venom when they decide to dive the point. Fraud. Push it up, creeping bit by bit. You can see them holding on to that Gamma Monstro, the radioactive squid. Don't want to burn it early. Wait for your opponents to force the issue. There we go. They've pushed onto the point. Gamma Monstro comes on out. But immediately they pushed a little bit too far, and this is not a great position for Fraud. Will be forced to back all the way into the doorway. Has that Horde of Proteus. Invisible boundary comes on in. They get taken out. Chenzo finds the massive blow up here. Staying far back, picking away from a distance. AILANIWIND back in control. 84%, 85, and DarkZero. This next push is likely going to be their last. Impunity on about half HP. Didn't grab the heal. Forced a Hulk smash just to make sure that they can touch the point. Keeping the pressure onto Goma. They're just eating damage here, forcing that overtime. Retreating to the low ground, not finding those Gamma lockdowns, but they will get the stun to buy every extra second. Keep Necrise locked down, and in that distraction, they've created the opening that DarkZero have used to flip. Almost a full team wipe from DarkZero there. Very nice turnaround. Smash, ping it away. Going to be pulling down to the low ground. Chenzo. They can once again land a good Soul Drainer. They may be able to create an opening. Necrise can also protect them with their own Mind's Aegis. Might be able to make an opening to get a punishment onto that Hulk. Take them out early. You've got a big stagger. Smash dropped so low. But here comes Impunity. Astral Flock forced to back away. There's that Soul Drainer. And now immediately they're going to take out the Hulk immediately to make sure that they can just try and go for a one fight instead of trying to stagger it. Horde of Proteus comes on in. Fraud takes out Goma, meaning Goma's not getting any more resets. In comes Chenzo with the Goddess of Death, trying to find that invisible woman, but she's able to sneak away. Aquatic Blessing. And the retreat is good here. And suddenly Chenzo not in the best position. Goma onto the Iron Fist to buy any extra second they can. Jalen with the Symbiotic Resilience to buy those extra couple seconds to stay on through. The healing output is good, but Impunity is pushing on past to try create an opening. Dropped low. Smash! Crack and impact! Looking for the reset. They can get through that Luna, that would be huge. It might be enough. Article. Oh, the knockback! So they did not land the shot, but the flick is insane! Smash takes out Goma. They will go down though, as it's AILANIWIND in control, but their bodies are falling. It is flipped over, and DarkZero onto the Venom, bursting them down, finishing off all reinforcements as they trickle in one by one. It's gonna be DarkZero evening up the score on map number 2. Meaning we are heading to the Stellar Spaceport as our final map of this our final point of this second map. I never really got the terminology between those two. Smash even swapped over to the Iron Fist at the end there as well. Both Goma and Smash, both Iron Fisted to reinforce. This, of course, could give their Luna a little bit of extra team-up value, where if Smash can make their way in, they actually heal their own team when they meditate.
Even the ocean at sunrise does not glimmer as bright as you.
Still not seeing any Blade. Still not showing up in any of our games so far. But right now, we have at least one more map after this, potentially 3.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Skier starting us off on the Jeff for the speed boost for the team.
Got it?
And then swapping over to the Invisible Woman to reinforce and rejoin up with everyone else. AILANIWIND stepping themselves up to try and just burst through someone potentially with that Feast from the Abyss early. Smash! Going on in yet another hero swap here. Has decided it's time for Star-Lord. Star-Lord received a massive buff. Controller player spotted, by the way. Star-Lord received a huge buff in the recent patch. Not really from the team-up, as they did, of course, lose their res team-up. But now you can see, not only does their flip give them invulnerability frames, it now gives them bonus health when they do it. Meaning that Smash is now playing one of the best 1v1 duelists in the game. Horde of Proteus. Invisible Boundary going to try and hold the point at least for this one as Goma comes in with the crack and impact. Looking for Madara. The damage output is good, but Indestructible Guard would allow the turnaround. Fraud helping deal with that extra damage from the Hela, forcing them off the point. Silent Seduction comes on in. Guardian Barrier, very nicely done. Skier keeping Fraud in this fight. Galactic Legend down a member. Smash pulling the trigger. Drop low Guardian Barrier comes in once again. 1, 2, but will get taken down. This is still a very one fight for DarkZero, meaning that they are going to get the first pickup, the first point of this second map, third location. Ooh, Goma getting a little bit caught there. Not finding the stairs as best as they could while retreating, facing the enemy to make sure they don't get caught out of position. And Fraud will back away here. Keeping the pressure on. Silent Seduction comes on out from Madara. Will we see the Horde of Proteus to follow up? Looks like it might not be needed here. Chenzo, by the way, swapping over to the more of their own, going for almost a mirror comp here over the Goma, sticking with this Winter Soldier, and it seems to be working in exchange for that Star-Lord that Smash has brought to bear. Whoa! Goma with the second here. Looking for the third. Trooper's Fist not currently available. Is already used for the main engagement. The Tainted Voltages are slowing them down massively. Bionic Hook to lock down Skier. Its velocity down as well to Chenzo with the Horde of Proteus. Portal has to be used by DarkZero to potentially reinforce, but they swap off. They realize that this is a bad idea. They are staggered, so they actually just cancel the portal by swapping off of Strange. DarkZero forced to regroup. Bionic Hook comes on out onto Impunity. Dropped low, but staying on through Visible Boundary to create the opening. Water Proteus being held onto into the back line. Finds no one. It's a quick push up. AILANIWIND with the fast reaction. Sonic Seduction. Emma say get over here, but it's going to be DarkZero who will in fact go in that direction. But in the more aggressive style. Forcing them down into the low ground. You can see they're going aggressive here. You want to try and pick them off. You've already got enough of a stagger. You don't want them to retreat and regroup on the stairs. So that is just a very aggressive push. And now knowing that they have a 60% control, DarkZero, and they've already used their own portal, DarkZero decide to play more aggressively. Because if they lose the point, they don't really have a quick way to get back. So they're now just going to try and play aggressively, look for individual pickups, even a flank coming in here trying to pick up Hulk. But Jalen will escape. Trying to spot anyone on the flanks. Camera Monstro on cooldown. The Monstro is getting cleaned out very quickly, but Fraud is still doing some good damage. The Kraken Impact. Smash with resets. 2. Trying to get onto the Hulk, but it is sustained on through. But dodges the Horde of Proteus for the turnaround attempt. Trying to chase down Jalen. Dropped low into Banner. And that might be enough. DarkZero holding the line. Portal will come out. Necry's able to get there in time, but no ultimates available. Horde of Proteus for the lockdown. And suddenly with nothing left, they're in serious trouble. Chenzo brings out the immortal Iron Fist to try and buy a couple extra seconds. But they can't find anyone. That is going to be map number 2 going over to DarkZero. Skia taking MVP. Well deserved. They had a fantastic knockback to interrupt an attempted pull from Goma. They kept full protection on their team with the invisible boundaries, the guardian barriers, kept everyone safe as well. Well deserved there. Look at the statistics there. Fraud, 44 KOs. 10 more than basically anyone else in the game. Goma second behind them. But final hits will also be won by Fraud, but only barely, a little bit less so. 20 final hits, 19 for Goma. These two players seem to just be brawling back and forth. Top damage output, lots closer again. It's going to be Fraud versus Goma one more time. Fraud once again wins barely. 35k to 34k, with Chenzo just a little bit further behind with 32k, 29k for Smash. Top damage blocked. Again, these teams so close between each other. 51k for both sides, winning by 300. Madara beats out Necry's. And top healing, this is where we start to see the difference. 46k for Velocity beats out the 37k by K-Jules. And then, of course, you have, once again, another victory. Skia with 53,000 healing, which is why they took that MVP home over Necry's 40,000. Both Velocity and Skia out-healed the top healer on the enemy team. That is where you are seeing a bit of a difference here. Healing output. Times getting taken out as well. Skia only got taken out 5 times. Velocity 8. Necry's 8. Cagel 7. 2 more times than Skia. That's where the lead is starting to show here, as DarkZero are now 1 win away from moving on to those semi-finals. Which, if I am correct, is this the qualification game? Okay, hang on. Before I move on, I should check. Is this the qualification game? Have I not been giving this enough beans? That is the question. Okay, Marvel Rivals Ignite. Stage 2. The Americas. Open qualifier number 1. Yeah, it's a qualifying game. Okay, I've not been giving this enough hype at all. Winner of this match will be qualified for Marvel Rivals Ignite and will earn their spot back into that Ignite for Stage 2. And of course, that builds up to those global finals. I know you're excited, because I certainly am. I had so much fun at mid-season finals, by the way. I'm going to try and do a recap video. It's going to be very late, but I'm going to try and do one, but something will be happening. It might be a members only, but it'll probably be a public one, but it'll probably just be something a little bit separate, a little bit different, in case my throat decides to absolutely perish and I'm not able to get another cast in. Alright, I've once again been kicked back to the main menu, so here we go. Back on the journey. Here we are. Alright, what could be the last map if DarkZero are able to claim this? If AILANIWIND can bring it back, they're back in it. This is a best of 5. They now have to win 3 maps in a row. The classic reverse sweep situation. Whereas DarkZero, they only have to win 1 more. And you might be able to tell by that music, we are heading to Central Park as our final map with double Dracula. Our could-be final map, I should say. These two teams have been so evenly matched so far. Wolverine once again taken out. Still remembering the first one. See the protection onto the Hulk once again here. Those Namors did quite a bit of work. It was banned out in the previous game, but this time Phoenix also makes their way in. Namor banned out. Hulk protected. Namor in. Storm protected once again. DarkZero getting their damage boost. Magneto also going to be protected. This, of course, could give good combos in with the Storm. There goes the Luna and Cloak and Dagger. Taking a lot of those healers away. Once again, we're going to be seeing a lot of Loki play, but with Phoenix on the board, suddenly that becomes a little bit more scary. And we're heading on in. Smash starting us off with the Punisher, as once again they have that Storm back to set themselves up for an aggressive DPS defense. AILANIWIND, they are going to be bringing back the Venom by the looks of it. K-Jules just started the team off with a little bit of extra armor from that Battle Rebirth beacon.
In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You have to stop them from securing the mission area.
Okay, Jules pushing in with the rest of the team here. Oh, sorry, I'm getting a phone call. Quick pause on the recording, everybody. My apologies. By the time, give it a second. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that, everybody. Let's get back in. Someone attempting to steal my debit card information. Bit of a scam. Not a fan. But here we go. Jalen. Up high. diving on in with the frenzied arrival. Hyper commitment, but immediately retreats without having to use that symbiotic resilience here. So they created a bit of an opening, outburning all their tools, keeping everyone on their toes here. Smash. Working their way onto Necries. See Jalen there hovering up above, just sending in a couple tentacles. AILANIWIND looking for an opening. DarkZero heavy on the defense, at least for the moment. Jalen dives on in, taking a lot of shotgun damage from the Punisher here. This time has the symbiotic resilience. Group wall, falls physics, pulls them back. Massive pickup coming in there by DarkZero, turning that round. Goma falls velocity with the clone onto the invisible boundary as they hyper push on through. Nice pickup here. Impunity has that strangling prison at the ready. They've got strangling prison, Omega Hurricane, which they will burn this one. Will they burn the straggling prison to try and set up for it? Looks like no. A little bit caught in the doorway. Damage output is good, but Iron Bulwark will keep the sustain on through. Speed boost to back out of danger. So far, AILANIWIND have yet to get a single percentage. Can't seem to find an opening right now as Chenzo trying to help deal with these Loki clones. Up to the high ground. Onto velocity, taking out those Loki clones. And those sparks are starting to stack up here. Here they come. Damage output on the AoE, but here comes the real invisible boundary. Straggling prison from Impunity. What a blow up! Impunity and Madara take out 3. Necries number 2 will finally fall, and Jalen is finished off with the final judgment, which I'm going to be honest, I don't think was needed. This could be the opening that AILANIWIND need with 3 people down so early. Smash burning their ultimate here may not have been necessary. So now they are ultimateless. Velocity, the closest to having anything as they approach that God of Mischief. Whereas AILANIWIND, Meteor M, Invisible Boundary, Kraken Impact. But the time is ticking down. Kraken Impact is a big group of enemies here. Finds a Loki clone. But for the reset, Regeneration Domain shuts it down. And they have their own as well. No resets, meaning Goma's ult is down, meaning Necries last ult left in this fight. Tries to just wall it, thanks to that magnetic barrier coming in from the side of Madara. Tried to just get the AoE damage, but it was not enough. And suddenly, AILANIWIND are starting to fall down one by one. 25 seconds left. Strange was not banned out, so there is a chance for a reinforcement here from AILANI. Looks like a single on-foot push will be the last-ditch effort, and then try to portal if the first person goes down. Mega Hurricane into the back line onto Goma for the finishing blow! But that's going to be Chenzo coming on in, taking out Fraud with the helmet Necries. The Ensong Inferno to help burst on through. It's a 1-for-1 straggling prison from Impunity. Madara with the Meteor M. Chenzo dives on in. Taken out though. Impunity with the Spore Bomb. Jalen comes on in. Feast from the Abyss to buy every extra attack about resilience. No one is even alive to portal. K-Jules can't even touch. And that is going to be a full hold by DarkZero. 0%. The best that can be hoped for now is a draw, taking us to a 4th map. A rough situation for AILANIWIND to find themselves in. They've shown themselves more than capable of fighting back from behind, but this is an uphill battle. DarkZero. They just need to grab a single third of the objective. And they are going all in on this. Madara starting off on the penny to give their team that 50 bonus health. The Battle Rebirth Beacon gives 25 bonus health. When teamed up with Penny, their Spider Spawner will give everyone 50 bonus HP. Madara still gets the bonus health from the rocket. So everyone comes out with 50 bonus health, except for Madara, who gets 25.
Battle starts in 5, 4.
Very good value. And now Velocity does not get any bonus health because they swapped.
All you need to do is capture
And
the
Skier
lead.
not sticking with the rocket. They lose theirs as well. And it's all gone anyway. It's Chenzo sieging in there. Goma also looking for some targets. Fraud sending in a couple shots. Drops down low. 8 HP will get finished off as Jalen on the defense. But we do see Necry's finished off. But it's a full team wipe. Not even close. DarkZero are obliterated here by AILANIWIND. And they just need to keep doing that. 0% to 0%. That will force a second map. Sorry, a fourth map. Overtime will, of course, be had first. But both these teams seeming to be very determined on keeping it on that 0%. Diving on in. Jalen forced to swing away. Smash. Not currently getting the damage boost as we're currently speed boosted by Storm. There we go. Damage boost to commit. Damage output onto the Venom. Jalen once again taking cover. There's a flanking Phoenix. Big stun. But Smash getting healed up. And they got it. They got it. People were forced off the point. That is it. That is GG. And DarkZero is so focused on the 1v1. DarkZero take the map and the series. And with that, qualify for Marvel Rivals Ignite Stage 2. Congratulations to DarkZero. Looking for redemption. From the last stage, they qualify once again. Final statistics, a bit of a shorter round that time, so we're seeing some lower numbers compared to what we've seen previously. 18-1 for Impunity with 5 final hits, tied the highest along with Smash. Smash, of course, did do the top damage boosted Punisher. Will do that for you. Top damage blocks, 21k by, once again, Impunity, who is doing some crazy good work here. And top healing. Again, Velocity and Skier, both 17k, both more than Necry's and Cajals. They're just doing so much healing output here. Keeping their team up when it matters. And with that, DarkZero will be moving on to Marvel Rivals Ignite for the Americas. We're heading into Stage 2. The journey to those mid-season finals is underway. We already have several teams confirmed. I'm not going to spoil the others from this qualifier, but I will spoil the teams that we do have. From the Marvel Rivals Championship for Season 2, so last season's MRC, we have YFP. And we have a Rival 7, who will be looking for a new roster, I believe. For Ignite Stage 1, the teams that came to the top cut, Sentinels, 100 Thieves. Second place from the Marvel Rivals mid-season finals, Envy. Shroud X, who again will probably be looking for a different roster here. We'll see how that works. Ego Death and Techie XD. FlyQuest and Nemesis to round out the Stage 1. And then we have our open qualifiers. DarkZero joined 3 other teams from this qualifier, leaving 2 spots available for the second qualifier, meaning much more competition, a much more difficult matchup. Going to be interesting to see. Well, nicely done, Ground Zero. Will be earning that spot. competition is fierce. We'll have to see how well these teams are able to do with it. Tomorrow, we're going to be likely sticking with these qualifiers because they're going very quickly. So keep an eye... Wait, what day is it today? Sunday. So yeah, I did not need to record this video today. But, hey, that means I can rest my voice a bit tomorrow. Yesterday's video would have been the news! So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you went over and checked that out to see all of the Marvel Rivals esports news, including news about these Ignites, etc. But in terms of actual casting videos, this video should be a Tuesday video? A Tuesday video. Yes, it should. But, so on Wednesday, we will likely be seeing... So for Asia and Oceania, I'm not going to cover a lot of the brackets because they're a little bit smaller. I'll likely be doing just the qualifying games for them. In fact, I'm almost exclusively going to be focusing on qualifying games from now on. There are other games I want to cast, but I literally don't have time. It's going so fast, and I still have MRC to do. So we'll see. I might grab some non-qualifying games. We'll see, but that bracket's moving real fast at my, for starters, sick throat, and second, my one video a day schedule. This is very much for my own sanity. So for now, I hope you've all enjoyed today's videos. Once again, if you do enjoy and like what I do on this channel, you can help by leaving a comment, liking the video, subscribing, ringing that bell so you know when these videos go live, sharing with a friend so that they can see the content as well if they like esports casting, especially if you're in an MRC team, for example, because MRC, I have a lot of games I can cast, so I take requests. And in between seasons of Ignite and MRC, aka stuff that's not on this channel, what I also do is I do high-level ranked casts, but that can be in any level ranked cast. If you leave a comment saying, hey, Tetcher, cast this game, it's going to be, it's this rank, I am this team, and maybe a little bit, maybe sell me on it a bit. We did this, we thought it was cool, please have a watch. Then I may just jump on and do that instead of a high-level ranked cast, because I want to do viewer casts. It's fun. I also want to do some on the stream potentially in the future, but that's when my throat is better. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all very much for watching. I have been Tetcher. Oh, sorry, the last way you can support the channel is by being a member. Members get early access to videos. If you remember, you had access to this video on Sunday, because I'm just going to upload it now, meaning you have 2 days early access to this video. Enjoy. And also you get behind-the-scenes content from LAN, which there were a couple videos I uploaded, including a Mario Kart game with me and some of the other casters and players, including Super Gomez, lovely fella. And also you get your name shouted out in either the credits of the news or during these casting videos, like these wonderful people, Odium, Doki Pokey, and John. These are the people who are helping keep this channel alive by helping me, be able to afford food and living expenses, etc. YouTube does not pay a lot of money. Memberships extremely do help. For now, though, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all very much for watching. I have been Tetcher, and I will see you all tomorrow.